So Donald Trump is an absolute joke of a human being, a joke of a president. He is a clown, a buffoon, a profoundly stupid and ignorant person. We all understand this. But that doesn't mean he's not dangerous, which of course he is. You can be a clownish, buffoonish dolt and still be profoundly dangerous if you have power, which that is the situation we're now in because tens of millions of our fellow Americans are apparently every bit as stupid as he is, and there are tens of millions who are also just completely oblivious and or apathetic to the point that they endanger us all by not even coming out to vote when a literal fascist, convicted felon, criminal insurrectionist who promised to be a dictator is on the ballot. Those people couldn't even be bothered to vote. There were more registered voters who didn't even bother to vote than who voted for either Trump or Kamala Harris in the last election. And they are every bit as much at fault for our current situation as the people who affirmatively voted for this dangerous clown. Now, that all having been said, I am of the belief that things are going to end very badly for Donald Trump. I don't know what exactly that looks like. I would like for that to look like Trump being impeached and removed from office and then prosecuted for his many crimes, which he is committing right now in the open, and most of them he has no immunity for, because I know people, cite that ridiculous Supreme Court opinion as evidence that Trump cannot be prosecuted, that he has complete and total immunity. That is not true. He has immunity. He has complete and total immunity for core constitutional function. He has presumptive immunity for official acts that he takes as president. He has no immunity whatsoever for things that are personal. And all of these financial related crimes that he appears to be committing, bribery, extortion, insider trading, all of these things, none of that is immune. He has immunity for none of that. So that's how I would like to see this end for Trump. I don't hold out a hell of a lot of hope that that's what's actually going to happen, but it's possible, and that's what I'm going to be fighting for. That's what I hope to see happen. But even if it doesn't, I still think it's going to end badly for him. He is not, I don't believe, going to go out on top. It's just going to end bad. I don't know how, but it will end badly for him. In part because I think that a lot of people who support him are going to turn on him. And we're already seeing signs of it. It's already starting to happen, and we're only 4 months into this presidency, and it's going to get worse for him as he becomes more and more of a lame duck. And that becomes obvious to everyone, including Republicans, and it will, especially after the midterm elections. Things are going to be dramatically different, regardless of how the midterm elections play out. And especially if Republicans lose big in the midterm elections. But even if they don't, the presidential election is going to basically start the day after the midterm elections next year. And things are going to be dramatically different a year and a half from now. And anyway, so people will turn on Trump. It's already starting to happen. I'm planning, I think my next video is going to deal with this in a little more depth. But it is happening, and it will continue to. And people are breaking with him now. And I think part of that is because they see the disaster that lies ahead for them, most likely in 18 months. They know that Donald Trump is not a popular figure. They know, a lot of them. Now, a lot of them are in safe districts, so they don't give a shit. It's probably in their best interest to continue to act like mindless cultists. And there are many such people who are genuinely mindless cultists in Congress, but there's a lot more of them who just go along, who are just, they're just doing and saying what they feel they need to at this point in time. But a lot of them, especially who are not in really safe districts, are going to feel the need to distance themselves from Donald Trump. And many of them, if not most of them or all of them, will not take on Trump directly, but they'll go after the policy. And you're seeing that now with this big, beautiful bill. You know, a lot of these people pretend to be conservatives. That's the branding. That's what they, you know, that's how they present themselves to voters. And they know that this bill is not in any way conservative. And so a lot of them are not even defending it anymore. And I'll talk about that more in the next video. But it's beyond that. People are breaking with him in a number of different ways on a number of different issues. Because keep in mind, Trump has a coalition of voters. Not everyone who voted for Donald Trump is a hardcore MAGA cultist, you know, who just worships Trump and will never abandon him for any reason. A lot of people who voted for Donald Trump are just, you know, they're ignorant. They are oblivious. They believed his lies that he would lower grocery prices on day one. There are those people. And then there are a lot of people, especially not necessarily the voters, but elected Republicans and Republicans in right-wing media who have gone along with Donald Trump. They don't like Donald Trump, but they go along with him because if you're a politician, you don't want to get on the wrong side of the cult and be primaried. If you are in right-wing propaganda media, you don't want to lose audience. But people are starting, they see him becoming more and more of a lame duck. They know, these people who are not hardcore cultists, they know that this man is a lunatic. They know it. They see the same things. Many of them have the same opinions about Donald Trump as we do. But for reasons of politics and personal financial gain and careerism, they'll not say it. But they know it. And let's just take a look at a couple things that are in the news today. Here's one. Let me move that over there. Humiliated Trump's anger at Putin grows as GOPers start breaking ranks. More and more, you know, a lot of these Republicans in Congress, they were pro-Ukraine. They are anti-Putin, anti-Russia. And they went along with this crap. They didn't speak out against Trump for the reasons I described. But more and more, they're starting to do that. They're showing more support for Ukraine and Zelensky and more opposition to Putin. They see now that Donald Trump's bullshit lie about ending the war in 24 hours is what we all told them that it was, and that's a bullshit lie. I don't know if they believed. Maybe some of them did. Maybe some of them just kind of crossed their fingers and hoped that Trump was right, that he had this great personal relationship with Putin, and that would be of benefit to him in helping, you know, bring about an end to the war. Now they see that that's all bullshit, and they know that Putin has just been playing Trump for the fool that he is. And so they're starting, some of them are starting to break ranks with him on this. This orange buffoon knows that he's been humiliated. He'll never admit it. He knows he's been played for a fool. He'll never admit it. So he's getting angry about it. But what are you going to do? What's he going to do? He's Putin's bitch. At the end of the day, he's Putin's bitch. And he's not going to do anything. And Putin will just laugh in his face if he tried. Nobody takes this freaking guy seriously. His word means nothing. That's the thing. When you talk tough and then cave, you lose all credibility. And nobody gives any credence to your tough talk anymore. Take a look at what they're saying about him on Wall Street. I don't know if you've seen this. This is pretty good. TACO. The acronym TACO. Wall Street mocks Trump with four-letter code to call bets against him. Let me read just a little bit of this. This is from Mediaite. Wall Street traders have developed a biting new acronym for a strategy that's become surprisingly lucrative for President Donald Trump's whiplash-inducing trade policy. TACO. Trump always chickens out. And he does. Reportedly first coined by Financial Times columnist Robert Armstrong, the term has quickly gained traction among investors who are profiting from what they say is a predictable pattern. Trump threatens steep tariffs, the markets plunge, and days later he backs off in a way that prompts a rebound. The latest example came over the weekend. On Friday, Trump sent markets reeling by announcing sweeping 50% tariffs on European imports. But by Sunday, the White House abruptly paused the move, citing a fresh round of trade talks. When the markets reopened on Tuesday, stocks surged. The TACO trade strategy is reportedly being openly embraced by some investors. Once he delivers bad news, investors are buying those stocks when they are beaten down, waiting for him to chicken out and watching those stocks rebound in value. Now, a couple of things about that. First of all, this could be strategy, right? We've talked about that. This could be very intentional by Trump and his team. Market manipulation, drive down the price of stocks, buy them up on the cheap. He backs off on the tariffs, stocks go up, then you sell off. I'm sure there is some of that going on there. We know for a fact, we've seen reporting on very suspiciously timed trades by a lot of people who are close to Trump. So whether it is a coordinated criminal strategy, and if that's what's going on, it's clearly criminal. And again, that kind of market manipulation and insider trading is not necessarily immune from prosecution, depending upon what Trump's involvement in that was. Anything he says as president to drive down the market, that in and of itself is immune from prosecution. But if he's tipping people off, this is what I'm going to do. If he's having people buy and trade to take advantage of his market manipulations, either for their own benefit or to benefit him, that's not protected. That's insider trading. That's criminal, and he could be prosecuted for it. There's no immunity. So is there that going on? Is this coordinated criminal activity on Trump's part? I wouldn't be surprised. You wouldn't be surprised. But also this could be, or at least in part, could be attributable just to his rank and competence and his mind-blowing stupidity. And it could be a combination of these things. The point is, these people think he's a joke. And whether he was doing this market manipulation inadvertently because he's a moron, or intentionally as a criminal, is essentially a criminal conspiracy to, manipulate the markets. The net effect is nobody takes this man seriously. They see what he does. He threatens tariffs. He backs off. He puts the tariffs on. He backs off. No one trusts him. That no one takes him seriously. And now they have an acronym for it. TACO. Trump always chickens out. He's a joke. World leaders are looking at this. It's not just with respect to tariffs. It's everything. The man has no credibility. He's a freaking joke. Everyone knows it. But again, he's a joke, clown, buffoonish moron, but he's dangerous because he does have real power. So that's going on. Now, he's also losing people. Like I said, lots of different issues. Here's one. This is a guy who is a absolute fraud. Mark Levin, you might be familiar with this jackass. I can't stand this guy. He was a never Trumper. There he is. He was a never Trump conservative. He worked in the Reagan administration. He was chief of staff to Attorney General Ed Meese. He's been a long-time conservative talk show guy. He's got a Sunday show on Fox News, or at least he did. I assume he still has it. And he was opposed adamantly to Donald Trump at the beginning. He was never Trump. He hated Trump. until he started losing audience. And this is what a lot of them in right-wing media do. They were against Donald Trump at the beginning because they saw what we saw in him. But they began to lose audience and money. And so they did a 180 and got on the Trump bandwagon, at least rhetorically, said the things they needed to please their audiences. And that's what Mark Levin did. He's an absolute fraud, a sellout. He actually calls himself Mr. Constitution. Yet he pretty much defends Trump on everything. So it shows you what kind of a fraud this freaking guy is. And he has been so effusive in his praise for Donald Trump that Trump actually named him to a position here. Trump appoints Fox News host Mark Levin to Homeland Security Advisory Council. This was back in April. So that just shows you that he's been tight with Trump, but even he has been breaking with him. Even as he sits on this Homeland Security Advisory Council, he's been breaking with Trump over issue after issue. Here he is with comments against Trump over talks with Iran. Mark Levin compares Trump's talks with Iran to appeasement of Hitler. Okay, that's some pretty harsh language coming from a guy who panders to the Trump cult for money. He's also spoken out against him for his coddling up to Putin. And I think there's been a couple other instances as well. But the point is, we're only 4 months in. Trump is really at the height of his power in many ways. But people are already starting to break. Give it another year. When we're 6 months away, or probably less than 6 months away, a year from now, to the midterm elections, let's see what the polls look like. Let's see what members of Congress are feeling at that point. Are they worried about their reelection? Is Trump dragging them down, as I believe he will be? I think Democrats are going to do very, very, very well in the midterms. Things are going to be a lot different. People are going to start to be speaking out more and more against Trump. And a lot of them are doing over this big, beautiful clusterfuck of a bill. People are speaking out very harshly, especially in the Senate. Rand Paul, Ron Johnson, there have been others. And as people stand up and speak out against Trump and are not destroyed by it, because that's the thing, people are afraid to speak up for fear of being destroyed. If some people speak up and others see that, look, they survived, they spoke out against Trump and they survived, they weren't destroyed, that will stiffen the spines of some of these other cowards to actually speak up, because they know it would be in their political best interest, potentially, depending upon what's going on in their state, in their district. It may be in their political best interest in terms of a general election to speak out against Trump, but they're worried about primaries and what Trump might do. But if they see other people successfully speaking out against Donald Trump and not suffering any real consequences, that will embolden others to speak out against Donald Trump. And the further along we get in this presidency, the more and more that's going to happen. After the midterms, the presidential election, the dynamic, is going to start. The political dynamic is going to completely change. Anyway, I'm going to be talking more and more about this because I think that there is going to be a real war in the Republican Party. And we're going to see more and more of it. And in a year and a half from now, it's really going to ramp up. And so I'm going to be enjoying that. And I am very confident that that is going to happen. What exactly that looks like, I don't know, but I'm here for it, and I'm going to talk a lot about it, and I'm planning a video, either my next one or in the next couple of videos, more about people who are speaking out against Trump and more evidence that his cult may be breaking up and that some of these people who have supported Donald Trump may be turning on him. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon.